company just leave today, so it's kind of a hectic week.
Yes, I've had company this whole time too. In fact, one of my sisters is still here.
Oh my gosh.
And she's heading out today, just driving there. I love where I live because I'm between family members, you know.
Oh,
So I get to see everybody. It's awesome. Anyways, tell me how you're doing.
So I was thinking about all these dogmas that I had believed and everything, and basically the two areas where it affects me the most is eating and these games that I have to play all the time with my husband. That I just believed if I do it wrong, then I'm a failure and I'm worthless.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a couple instances, even in the past couple days, where I thought I was a failure again, and it's so dramatic, and I'm crying.
But you caught yourself, right? You caught it.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking through it, like, okay, this is ridiculous. Let's think about it. And there's just one where I really get stuck, though, that I was supposed to make dinner for everybody, and lunch. Anyway, it's just a frozen lasagna, and I'm supposed to stick it in at a certain time to have it ready. And I just didn't read correctly, and it was 2 hours instead of 1 hour. And so
the timing was off.
Yeah, everybody had to wait an hour. It's just, I just felt so stupid. Like, how hard is it, So, and I'm still stuck on it because really, how hard is it,
Well, that's not really, that's not I think you're looking at, so what you're dealing with is the direction you're looking at it. Is it really that big of a deal?
No, I mean, looking back at it, it wasn't, but I thought it was going to be at the time. Like, everyone's going to be hungry, this is awful.
Okay, so do you notice how you're not questioning that? You see what I'm saying? Like, you're going right to her. Listen to the language. Imagine someone going, you dumb piece of shit. You fucked the whole thing up. Everybody's sitting there. You're making everybody uncomfortable. You're a horrible person. Notice how you're not questioning that thought.
Yeah.
Versus, is it really a big deal? I mean, really, is this a big deal? How common is it that humans misread something? And is it really that big of a deal that it's an hour late? I mean,
no.
You see where you're not questioning that. That's why I went, is this really a big deal? It is what it is, right? So I'm going to process through this the way I would have processed through it. First of all, is there anything you can do about it now?
No.
So start there. It's already done. We got to wait an hour. So what can we do in the is it really something that's unforgivable? Because it is what it is. Can't go back. Can't reread it. You could say, chances are you probably had 5 different things you're juggling in your head all at once. Not just getting that in, but you were probably trying to do something else because you're hosting. So you're holding. So do you see how you're not giving yourself, like right now I'm giving you so much grace around, like, get real with it. Yeah. So what? First world problem on a whole nother level.
Yeah. I mean, I thought of all the things to give myself grace about it. Like, I'm busy and this and that, but I still was like, but how hard is it? It's like still.
It's when you add to everything, how easy is it for someone to actually forget? Or how easy is it for someone to not read something properly?
Yeah.
See how you're not doing that with yourself?
Yeah.
So you go to the hate mongering, right? First. So that's why you have these issues, right? You're not going to love and grace and kindness. If this was your, let's just say, child, would you not let it go? How hard is it? How hard is it?
No.
Right. Well, I don't know. I think this is a matter of you contextualizing, trying to work around what position is going to allow you to feel good about yourself. There's reality, right? Reality is how it unfolded. There's a fantasy concept, expectation, right? Of perfection. That's a position. That's the one you've taken, right?
Right, but I don't feel like my expectations are very high.
Doesn't matter. It is high relative to reality. That makes sense? Here's how reality worked. For whatever reason, it was the way it was. What if you are dumb? What if that's the truth? Does it make sense to be angry at yourself?
Yeah.
I'm going to say it again. What if you actually are dumb? What if that's the truth? Like, this is the truth of your performance. The truth. This is how it works. You did the best you could with all the things you were juggling, and this is how it unfolded. Course, you could have, now you know in hindsight, be thorough, double check the time, be thorough. Sure, you could have done that, but you didn't because you were, for whatever reason, there was all sorts of other shit going on in your head. Okay?
Yeah.
You got to go around and see where's the flaw. Why are you feeling so horrible about yourself, right? So what I'm trying to help you is to see that this is why. You're holding yourself to some idea of what things should be, and you're not adjusting to what it actually is. So in the moment, you forgot to put it in. You're still festering on that one little, moment where you weren't thorough about reading something. You got to let it go and go, well, that's the case. Everybody's going to adapt. We're all going to have a good time. If someone here is going to complain about that and be pissed off about it, you're probably they're not going to come over anymore. Great. Thank God, right? Because that's an asshole who can't adjust to the real world. I'm a real person. I'm doing everybody a favor by hosting at my house, fixing you dinner right now. You see what I'm saying? Where's your advocate? Do you not have an advocate in your brain?
Yeah.
That's what you're missing. Yeah. You need the advocate that says, hey, this is stupid. It's not like you threw someone's kid out a window for fun.
Yeah.
It's not like you intentionally took one of your guests' rooms and put shards of glass on the floor. Now I could see why you'd be still upset about yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You've misread something. You see so in those moments, you got to be able to stop and go, hold on, what can I do? Nothing. Is this really something to be shameful about? Ashamed. Go into your mind right now and really think, is this worthy of shame?
Okay. No.
It's not.
No.
Is this a mistake all people make?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to be a person?
Yeah.
So what can you do now? Bring out some cheese and crackers and say, hey guys, holiday season is among us. I'm an hour off. Yeah. Sounds pretty normal for a holiday season. This is like typical shit. I was an hour off on our Thanksgiving dinner. The whole thing, the turkey, everything, getting it out.
Okay, well, we ate right at 1 like planned, so.
Yeah, well, I'm a piece of shit then, aren't I? You see how that's really? So you're holding yourself to some inhumane standard. So even though you're like, well, the standard isn't very high, I'm like, it sounds shitty to me. Because there's no grace for real people. There's no reality in that. What are you, some mega world renowned chef or something?
No.
So why hold yourself to that? And then take it as a personal flaw if you're a bad person. So how do we get grace, right? I guess that's maybe what you're asking is how do I give myself grace when I personally feel I'm a bad person because I misread something? Dinner timing was off.
Yeah.
Well, you got to question why you're such a dick. That sounds like an asshole way to treat someone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Can you imagine treating someone else that way? Do you see it? Maybe question the dogma in there that says that it has to be perfect.
Yeah.
You got to live in the reality zone, right? Because reality is nothing's perfect. So the moment that it's off, you have to accept it. So what you're doing is you're not accepting it. I think this is where we need to go. This is where the conversation needs to go. So not accepting the truth. That's what you're struggling with. The truth is, you misread the label and you didn't get it in time.
Yeah.
That's the truth. So what do you think? What is feeling bad about it? What's the point of that?
I don't really see a point.
Well, the point is a form of denial. So what you're trying to deny it. I'm better than that.
Or I should have been better than that.
That's all denial. It's a way to, it's almost like, so first of all, not having the food in time and it being late is a horrible bad thing. A horrible bad thing. Right?
Yeah.
So that's your source of feeling bad because you believe that. You actually believe if dinner doesn't get in on time and you don't feed people at a designated time, you're a horrible person. Like you suck. You're a bad person. So that's the belief that you're holding yourself to. Okay?
Yeah.
You're not questioning that. Right? So by going into accepting it. So let's go through a process of accepting you mistimed everything. It's true. Late. So a process of acceptance would require what?
Just having grace for failing at it?
Well, look at it. Yeah, you have to look at it first. So when you're going into, I'm horrible, this is terrible, that's a form of, you're not looking at it. You're distracting yourself.
Okay.
I don't know if you get a feel of that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
That's like a form of denial. Even though you're feeling horrible about yourself, you're stewing on it. That's like distraction. You might know more. You might more know. I'm on the outside here trying to explain from an outside personal, because we've all experienced this. Everybody, right? I have my experience of self-loathing distraction. It's like feeling sorry for yourself so that you're trying to diminish the shame.
Yeah.
Right? That's so That's like saying, I didn't do it. I'm really weak. I'm a terrible. So if you were to accept it, you have to look at it. It was not timed in correctly. It is what it is. This isn't going to be done for an hour. That is the truth. No emotion around it. The truth is the truth, right?
Yeah.
So now what? What can you do about it?
What do you mean? Like for next time? Or?
No, what can you do about it in that moment?
I mean, nothing.
You got it. There's nothing you can do. Period.
And that's what I did, but I still had the...
But that's doing something about it. So that whole self-loathing thing, you're still, even if you're saying, it is what it is, the self-loathing, what's that doing? Nothing. But you're still working on that. That's still exercise, right?
Yeah.
So have you really accepted it? Or are you trying to deny the shame of it? What's the point of all of that work and energy? What if it's true? So what you're trying to remove, which is kind of ironic if you think about it, or I don't know if that's the right word, but by stewing on it, it's like this weird illusion that you're not going to do it again. You're trying to remove the label of badness from yourself, but what if we go into the acceptance of bad? I'm bad. Just go there. Like, what if this is the truth? Everybody now knows I can't manage everything all the time perfectly.
Yeah.
Like I did Thanksgiving meal. Perfect. On time. Done. Bam. Woohoo! I win. Did you take pride in that?
No, I just was I thought it was respectful. Just have it at the time that I said. Like just arriving at a place. You know, you say you're going to meet somebody at this time. I am there at that time where it's like the biggest deal in the world because I'm trying to be respectful.
Yes, so that's great and all. Are you taking personal pride in that? Like, I'm a better person because of that?
No, I'm trying to not feel in it. I'm trying to not be seen as a bad person, I guess.
Oh, so are you taking pride in that as if you're a better person? You see, you can't take one without the other. So the shame is the downside of pride. It might not be. So there's two ways to take pride. I'm better than you. Other people are terrible. Versus, or I'm just acceptable by meeting these standards. I'm just acceptable to assholes. They won't think I'm an asshole because I'm on time. So I call that co-narcissism. So the pathological narcissist literally thinks other people who are running late are bad people.
Okay.
Do you feel that way?
No.
So disrespectful. They're disrespecting my time. You don't feel that way?
I mean, I would definitely give them a lot more grace, but I mean, if it was like my husband is constantly late, he never does what he says. He's,
And do you see him as a bad?
Yeah, I'm frustrated by it. Like, why aren't you more respectful to me about that?
Got it, and that's understandable, right? I'm not saying that's not a normal argument, a normal situation, right? Do you feel like maybe you're compensating for your resentments? Like you kind of resent that. So you're like, I'm not going to do that because I feel like he's selfish, not thinking about anybody else. And there's maybe some truth to that. So my question is, and this is why we got to look at where's the source of the seriousness of this shit to where you won't let it go. You're defining yourself like there's no grace. So let's just say someone's late. Where's the grace? So go back to the co-narcissism, right? Someone who is superior and defines people by dumb shit, like they're late or they're on time. That's super dumb. Like you're going to define someone by that? Clearly someone that's running late all the time, they might have like procrastination problems. There might be some serious issues that they're dealing with. Maybe they don't like to be on time. Maybe that brings too much pressure. Maybe, who knows, right? I was raised in a family that runs constantly late. As soon as we need to leave, my dad decides to go in and clean the kitchen. Or not, he never cleaned the kitchen. He'll go and say, I got to get this done first. And we're all sitting in the car for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, he has to get some shit done first.
Well, when I visualize other people, like if that is not bothering me. I mean, my husband's a different story, but if we go to church and there's late people, I don't care.
You don't worry about their life and what they're doing. Okay.
We're going in and it's already started. It's like, just kind of creep in and in shame.
Okay, so this is like my mom gave all of her friends who were not the same religion as ours so much grace to be themselves. They can drink, and she was totally fine giving them wine and gave them coffee. But if I were to have drank coffee, I would have been so shamed in our family. Right? My mama gives all of her friends the grace. They're good people. She can be friends with them. They drink wine. But if she found out I was drinking wine, I would be literally shamed and seen as a sinful person. Right?
Yeah.
So your family, you're permeating your low self-esteem onto the family. My mom, that was like her identity. We could say her survival identity, if you want to call it that more so. Permeated out into the family. Like I had to perform so that she felt good about me because I'm part of her identity as her child. I have to identify the way she needs me to so she's comfortable. So I had to hold myself up to these standards of perfection relative to the religious dogma so that she felt comfortable with me.
Yeah.
So how she related to other people who weren't in that religion was so gracious, so loving, so kind, so friendly. So real, right? And that's what I'm hearing from you is similar. Right? Other people can be late. They have situations that they get all this grace, but when it comes to my family, we have to be on time because that's how we prove our worth, because we're worthless inherently.
Right, because to me it's all or nothing. What's the opposite then? You're late and disrespectful? Like you're not even gonna try?
Well, what if there's reasons for being late? What's so what you're not questioning is the on-time dogma.
Okay.
There's no what if I had to go pick up my daughter from someone's house and they were running late and then I got to be late because so what's wrong with being late? Why is that such a horrible thing? If you're showing up, if you just show up, isn't that good enough? Right? So all I'm hearing right now is just the cognitive distortion, right? When I say cognitive distortion or when you read it or hear it, I want you to imagine something's twisted so tight and taut that it'll break. You know, think of a rope that is so tight and taut. What happens when it gets flicked? It breaks. There's no lenience to it. There's no wiggle room, right?
Okay.
So think of something twisted so tight. That's what cognitive distortion is. It's like how the brain works. That's how your brain is. So all you're really telling me is it's like symptoms of that distortion. And that's a sign of survival mode, right? Not surviving very well. And so this will be an approach you project onto everything that you're using because you're not really feeling good about yourself as you are. So if you were to tell the truth about who you really are, what is the truth of your performance? Even if you're holding yourself to some like high standard of performance of perfection, let's just say that distortion is true. You are a pile of shit unless you are so perfect all the time. Your kids have to be perfect all the time. Your husband has to be perfect all the time because they're part of how you identify yourself, right? They're your family.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just say your family is inferior. Like you guys aren't that good. You're not that high. Your natural capacity is inferior to what you're trying to hold yourself to. You're not perfect. You're not the smart ones. You're going to be late. You're the people who smell in church. You're the ones everybody's looking down on because, you know, that's how God told us to be, right? That's what Jesus taught. Let's just go there. Let's just imagine you're like lower class. What if that is the natural state of your existence? When I say
doesn't matter, you still exist.
So if
you're still doing the best you can.
Right? So if that's the truth, if that is the truth, just go there, open yourself up to that reality. Those standards you're holding yourself to, do they seem like that's something you would continue to hold yourself to?
No.
Why? What's the, I mean, because you could hold yourself to those standards, but what's the problem with that?
You're going to fail and feel worthless.
Yeah. So you live in inadequacy. You literally live as if you're a pile of shit. But what if you're really not? If you're actually a very good, normal human being, and you're just normal.
And you're feeling bad for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Where's the problem? Is it you or the uppity perfectionistic standards that you're holding yourself to? Let's say you should be different than you are. Where's the problem? Are you a failure or are the standards a failure in relation to your truth?
The standards and me believing them?
Well, the only reason why you're feeling bad is because you believe them. So you believing them is why you feel bad, because you truly believe being inadequate is bad.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a judgment. You believe the judgment. There's all sorts of standards out there. What's your grade? How much money do you make? Those are just numbers, right?
Yeah.
The problem isn't the grade, it's you feeling bad about it. So what if you were an hour late? Okay. There's the truth there, right? Remember when I was like, so let's go into acceptance. This is what it is. What can you do? Nothing. Okay, that's the truth. The problem isn't the truth. It's you're feeling bad about it. The badness. That's the stuff you want to get rid of, right? I felt so bad about it. That's what you brought to me when we first started this, I feel bad about it. Where does the badness come from? Is it your failure? Is it the truth of what happened? Is that where the badness is coming from?
No. I expected to have it perfect.
So would you say the perfect is where the badness is coming from? It's
Yeah.
that standard. That is where badness comes from. If you didn't hold yourself to that, how would your dinner have been?
Just fine.
Just fine. Notice how that answer was just like, oh, would have been just fine. Because part of you is inherently, right, loves to do this. Clearly you like to host. Part of you enjoys it, right? So part of you would have naturally wanted to have dinner around this time.
Yeah.
So that's runs on its own. You don't need to have some perfectionistic standard to motivate you, do you?
No.
So that wasn't even necessary. So you get rid of the perfectionism, and how would it have turned out?
Pretty good.
Yeah, because you're not going to naturally just say, fuck you guys, go get your own dinner. That's not you. So do you really need that perfected standard?
No.
No, because you naturally are a certain way. Naturally. You don't need to be told it has to be this for you to put effort into something, right? The effort you put into it, does the standard of perfection, should it claim all of your efforts?
No.
That's the downside of dogma. The dogma always takes claim of everything. Always. Right? Like you have to just think about that for a second. This is another part that I'm going to want you to rewatch when I send this to you in this session. You need to rewatch this. We're in the last 5-10 minutes of our session. Okay. The dogma always wants to claim your natural ability. As if you don't believe this, if you don't follow this, you're nothing. Well, is that true? If we got rid of this perfectionistic standard, what's the truth of your inherent desire when you host? Do you like having the house clean naturally? Or would you leave the house a total bomb?
No, it'd be like just okay, average.
Yeah, you would do. Would you have clean towels, change the sheets naturally, or would you leave them disgusting? I mean, they might not be disgusting, dirty. So do you see how that's natural? Can the perfectionism claim all that and say, no, that's not you. We're the ones controlling that. That's us. That's us.
No.
You see where I'm? So oftentimes when we have this conversation, I know in the past you're like, well, without all those goals, what would make us do anything good? Well, the goals aren't where your goodness comes from. You're naturally that way. The goals are coming from some extreme radical idea of perfection. So the key is knowing what you're naturally willing and capable of doing and sticking with that. Because in reality, you've lived a long time now. You've lived long enough, right?
Yeah.
What actually happens in reality? How many years have you had ideas of perfection, and how often does it actually hit the mark? Without going crazy.
Not very often.
Not very often. You got it. So there's a natural mark. That's like, I'm going to do the best I can. I'm juggling 5 balls at one time. One of the balls are going to fall. That's fine. Right? But the belief says if you drop a ball, you suck, and everybody's going to know it. Everybody's going to know it. So the question you have to ask yourself is, so is it really a bad thing if everybody knows that I drop a ball? Is dropping a ball a bad thing that I should be afraid of and ashamed of?
No.
So if someone says, oh my God, she dropped a ball, she's inferior, are you going to be okay with that? Do you really want to comply to someone who's that type of person?
No.
right? So do you really care that someone cares that you're human or not
No.
not good enough, right? So the reality is, you're just a normal person. You sound normal to me. The problem is you're ashamed of your normalcy. You feel shame about it. That's why you feel so shitty. You're just normal. But that is so bad to you. Why?
Yeah.
Why is it so bad to you to be normal?
Because I'm believing a bunch of crap.
Yeah, standards that are really inhumane. They would require such perfection around all. Think of what goes into the moment you read that box and didn't read it properly. What went into that? Just think of all of the context around what was in your mind at the time. What were you? Go back to that. That's normal. You're a normal person.
Yeah.
Do you really want the superiority if it requires that you cannot have a moment where you didn't read something properly? Do you really want the superiority if it requires you feel ashamed about yourself because you didn't read and time dinner properly?
No.
Wouldn't you rather just be inferior?
Yeah.
Me too. I told everybody Thanksgiving was at 3, and guess what? It was at 4. Yeah. Oh well. Turkey was good. Gravy turned out. Rolls were a little dry. My stuffing was amazing. So I got, who cares?
Yeah, and I was overly stressed and lost about a year of my life, but I got the food on the table at the right time, so it made a lot more sense.
Right? If you could have just gotten it within the hour-ish. I think an ish all the time now.
I know. I feel like I should
3-ish, and I don't even know because I didn't have a temperature gauge that was working. My temperature thing was working, so I just guessed.
Yeah, we didn't have one either.
I know. So whoop-de-doo. If someone's gonna judge your first world luxury, excessive, gluttonous dinner didn't come out on time, they're special. Maybe they should go somewhere else. Do you feel any better? Is this helping at all?
Yeah.
So those are the little things too. It's when you start feeling bad about yourself, I want you to seriously pause. And it can be something when you were saying to me, I don't think that it's that big. That's
hard.
I should be able to do that. Well, you didn't.
Yeah.
And are you going to be okay with the fact that you're not perfect and you are inferior? And that's in a moment like this, yeah, that's what happens. My God, there's so many times I almost chopped my thumb off because I was cutting chicken up for potato and I wasn't paying attention.
Wow.
Just so you know. I mean, once I cut my hand, I had a moment of what the hell, Robin, pay attention. But what can you do about it?
Yeah.
Nothing. It's already done. My entire thumbnail had a huge, through the whole thumbnail. My thumbnail saved me. Just saying. That's just one example. One example of many. Do you know how many times I tipped over? I broke 2 wine glasses this week. I tipped over. Oh my God. On Saturday night, we had cards. We played hearts. We had a heart tournament. I think I tipped over at least 3 glasses of wine. Broke 1 wine glass that night. And I broke another wine glass at a friend's house on Wednesday.
See, you're just a troublemaker.
I'm normal. I'm a normal human being.
Yeah. But yeah, I would have covered shame.
Yeah, I'm a normal person. It's just but you have to give yourself that grace. I give myself that grace because it is what it is. What can you do once you're you're flailing your hands and talking and you go ping and you broke someone else's wine glass and wine's all over the counter? It wasn't even my glass. It was someone else's wine. The thing is this. Here we are. If they don't like me, they'll never invite me again. And you know what? I don't want to have to go to another party and be paranoid I'm going to break someone's wine glass. I want to enjoy myself. So if they're going to be uppity up, I can replace the wine glass. Good thing I know this person really well, and she doesn't care. They're not.
Yeah.
She gives me sippy cups. Right? You got to give it grace. If you can't give it grace, right, you're your worst enemy.
Yeah.
Screw everybody else. You're the one who's the asshole, right? That's why I said, why are you such a dick?
I can see why you need to change that.
That's why I said that earlier. Why are you such an asshole? You're such a dick. That's your problem. You got to be nice to yourself. Give yourself grace to just be a real person. It's okay to be real. You got to be able to be okay with that. Screw everybody else.
Okay.
And again, is it you that's the dick, or is it the beliefs that are the dick?
It's the beliefs.
It is. It's totally the idea that you had to be perfect. That's such an asshole. Wow. Get real and become your own advocate here. You need to be your own advocate when it comes to like the truth is the truth. So if that's inadequate, be okay with that. And that's really where you need to go. And you need to ask yourself, am I okay being inadequate?
Okay.
And get yourself to a place where you have to, because there's no alternative.
Yeah.
Stop trying to deny it. Next time you host someone, go into it. I'm going to do what I can. Be cautious and conscious of any type of fantasies going into it. And just know ahead of time, whatever it is, it's not going to be good enough. So what does that do? What would that do if you had that?
You can just relax and have some fun.
Yes, and just be real.
Well,
now you're just being real with yourself. So it's going to happen the way you're going to want it to happen anyway. So, okay, let's reschedule.